Hi again. So in other videos, I've talked about ultimate goals. These are your compass points, things you want to accomplish or experience in your lifetime. And their nature is that they take more than one step to reach. That's true even if the goal doesn't seem all that distant. Let's say you're enrolled in a calculus class. The term is 3/4 over, and all you need to do is pass the final exam. That's an ultimate goal. To reach it, you'll have to read over each of the required chapters in the textbook, and maybe you'll have to complete 50 or 100 sample problems. You can't do all that in one sitting. And if you focus on that one goal, it'll seem so massive and so distant that your motivation will sag. 12 chapters. Oh my God, how can I possibly do all that? But what if it was only one chapter? Then you might think, well, I can do that, one chapter. That doesn't seem too threatening. The secret is, it is only one chapter because you cannot read 2 chapters at a time. You can only read one. So that's all there is. You focus on that one. When you're done, maybe you'll choose to read one more. Even if there's 12 chapters, there's only one at a time. One of my ultimate goals was to walk across England from the Irish Sea to the North Sea. England's not very big, but it's still 320 kilometers. I'm a hiker. I've done the West Coast Trail in British Columbia. I've done a lot of hikes, but I had never walked 320 kilometers in one trip. So naturally, I thought, can I really do this? Am I just going to seize up after day 3? Every morning on that trip, I had somewhere between 18 and 30 kilometers to go. And the truth is, I wouldn't have done any of them if I'd been focusing on the end of the day, let alone the end of the trip. At every point on that walk, the next goal was exactly the same. Take a step. Can I walk across England? I don't know. Can I take a step? Yes. And that's all it was. One step. Then one more step. 530,000 times. My phone counted for me. I did it not by keeping focused on the ultimate goal, but by staying where I was and doing the goal in front of me. And the same is true of marriage and finding a career and getting a social life and becoming independent and recovering from depression and finding meaning in your existence. And I know what I'm talking about because I've done all of those things. You set your compass point. Then you focus on where you are and what needs to be done right here. Immediate goals are the steps. When I was talking about ultimate goals, I gave 12 strategies to come up with your list. So now I'm going to give 5 rules that every immediate goal has to obey if you want to get the most out of them. And to make it easier, there's an acronym for this: SMART. But the letters stand for different things in different models. Mine are a little different than some. First, S. Specific. The key word here is how. You have to know exactly how to carry out the goal. You can't say, find the lost house key. You don't know where the key is. But you can say, spend 30 minutes looking for the lost house key. That you know you can do. Maybe it'll turn up. Maybe not. But you know you can spend 30 minutes. If you've been having trouble getting some traction in your life, it might be partly because your immediate goals aren't clear enough. Resolve this parking ticket issue. Well, great, but how do you do that? You need to identify what you know you can do. It might be call parking enforcement and ask what the total is. That you can do. During depression or times of discouragement, people often get derailed if they run into setbacks. They might say, I'll ride my bicycle for 10 minutes, but they haven't been on the bike in a year. So they track it down and the tires are flat. And that stops them. Completely normal. A better goal would be go look at the bike and see if it's in running condition. So the key here is, do you know pretty much exactly how to do this goal? If not, it's not specific enough. Next, M, my own. It has to be a goal that's under your power. So you might think, gosh, I used to like going to movies with Frank. I know, I'll do it next week. But that depends on Frank being available and willing. So it's a bad goal. You need to change that to something that's in your control, like text Frank and invite him to see a movie. That you can do. If he says yes, great, you can go. If he says no, you've still succeeded. You've still completed your goal of inviting him. Some people say, resolve this issue with my spouse. No good. That depends on them. Raise the issue with my spouse might be better. If you ask a lot of people what their goals are, half of them are about someone else changing or doing something. But we are not in charge of those people. We're only in charge of ourselves. So we need to focus on our own behavior. Next, A, action-oriented. This means that the goal is to do something, not to feel or think a certain way. Most of us don't have great control over our emotions or our thoughts. We might go out for a walk down a beautiful beach and feel anxious and depressed the whole way. The goal is to do the walk, not to like it, not to think, oh, what a wonderful person I am for doing this. It's to get to the end of the beach. That's it. And if we hated it, that's an even bigger success, because it was probably harder than if we'd loved it. Depressed people often target how they feel, which is perfectly understandable. I'll go for a nice walk on the beach. I'll go to the party and try to have a good time. But they're trying to manipulate how they're thinking or feeling, and they're not so great at that. Instead, go to the party and stay for 45 minutes. That you can do. I'll show you what I mean. Quick, right now, rate how happy you are on a scale from 0 to 100. Got it? Now, bump it up by 20 points. See? It's not that controllable. When I ask clients in a group setting to do that, some say, oh, I could make myself feel better. I ask them how. Go play with my dog. Aha! You change how you feel by changing what you do. That's my point. We focus on the doing and we let the emotions take care of themselves. The first time you play with the dog, nothing may happen. But with time, that old enjoyment may come back. So does this mean we just give up on feeling better or changing the way that we think? Not at all. But we change these things by altering what we do. Next, R, realistic. The goal has to be something you already know you can do, even with lousy motivation and mood. This one throws people off because they think a goal has to be something beyond what they've already done. It doesn't. It should be something you've done so often or that's so easy There's no real question about whether you can do it. If you're not sure you can do it, it's not an immediate goal. It's a recipe for failure. People often set goals based on how much they think other people can do, or how much they think they should do, or how much they once could do when they were at their best, or when they weren't depressed, or when they weren't burned out. So they think, well, I used to swim 20 laps at a time 10 years ago, back when I was in shape, so I'll go to the pool and I'll swim 20 laps. No, you won't. You need to just visit the pool and look at it. Maybe that's your first step. And a correlate of this is that there has to be an obvious finish line. You can't say, work on my taxes. You might slave away for 3 hours and still think you haven't done it because you didn't finish, especially if your mood is lousy or you have outright depression. This will make you look for any evidence that you've failed or that you're not good enough. So you have to treat it a little bit like an obsessive lawyer so that part of your brain doesn't get that chance. Did you sit there with the taxes for 30 minutes? Well, yeah, but I only got half a page done. Where does it say you have to get a certain amount done? It doesn't. It says half an hour. Did you do half an hour? Yes. Then it's a success. You have to have a finish line because in early goal setting, you're not really trying to get very far. You're just collecting successes. You're focusing on what you can do and have done. That's where the motivation and confidence come from. Once they show up, they will enable you to accomplish a bit more. I had to do this on my walk. Some mornings it was a bit hard to get started. Have you done 1,000 steps? Well, yes, but look, the next town is still... Shut the hell up. Did you do 1,000 steps? Yes. Then you can do another 1,000. Yes. By the end, I knew I could walk 500,000 steps. Finally, T, time defined. This means it's not someday or when I feel like it. It's this week or maybe Thursday morning. I'm doing it because I have decided to do it, not because the Spirit is moving me or I want to do it or it suddenly seems like a fun idea to fill in my taxes. I'm doing it because it's time to do it. Because if I wait to feel like it, it will never happen. The reason it's on a goal list is because it hasn't happened by itself, and it won't. So, those are the SMART rules. Specific, my own, action-oriented, realistic, and time-defined. Is that it? Well, no. There are some more principles that can make your immediate goals even better. But we're out of time. I'll cover them in another video. Bye. These videos come out once a week. If you're interested, click subscribe, and the latest ones will appear in your subscriptions feed when you visit YouTube. For links to my books, look in the text section below this video. And do ask questions or comment. I read all the comments and may use some of them as the basis for new videos.